We're back here on our program, The Platform, and we are speaking today with attorney Fred Smith, Frederick M. Smith.
R.M. Smith.
R.M. Smith, okay.
Roy Mark Smith. Frederick Smith. You can't find a more Bahamian name. And yet everybody runs around calling me a Haitian because I was born in Haiti.
Well, we know now that you're an Haitian man. You've been creating more havoc in this country than the law allows. So if you were Haitian,
they should deport me.
You would have been deported a long time ago.
Without having been convicted of any offense.
Yes, yes.
Just being Fred Smith.
Yeah. We have a situation, and I want you to comment on this, that a cabinet minister, and you probably saw it in the newspapers, he held up 2 passports in the Parliament of the Bahamas and said that he is as Bahamian as Kung Salad. But he claims that his mother came to the Bahamas illegally. And his mother was not married to his father. He was born in 1967 in the Bahamas. What is his status?
I don't know. You're asking me to speculate on facts that I'm not aware of. And
based on what I just told you.
And this is a particularly sensitive political topic right now. And I am not going to be suckered into having this discussion with you.
Yeah, but you got involved with all kind of other things. Why you can't get involved with that? You're a human rights lawyer, you know.
I am. And if he has a Bahamian passport, he has a Bahamian passport. But I am not going to delve into the facts because I don't know them, you see. I don't know the facts.
Based on the facts that he said, he told us what the facts are.
I'm not going up that. I'm not going up that.
Oh, you're afraid of that, eh?
I'm not afraid of it. I don't want to get involved in a speculative, highly sensitive political issue. That's all.
Well, there are other political issues that are highly sensitive that you got involved in.
No, but no. I deal with policy and I deal with law. The facts of that situation.
Well, I'll give you a hypothetical situation then. Mm-hmm. And let's see if you can respond to a hypothetical situation where the mother of a child comes to the Bahamas.
And who is the father?
The father is Bahamian.
So the child is entitled to Bahamian citizenship. Yeah,
but the child has to apply, right?
Well, I don't know if he applied or not.
No, but I'm just asking you.
Well, perhaps it depends. This is why making grandiose declarations, as Minister Mitchell loves to do, and previous ministers, and the Prime Minister just did in Parliament, addressing immigration as if it's a simple subject is so wrong. Because what that does is creates panic in the community, whether you're illegal or not, or you're born here or not. All of a sudden, you're in a state of terror and anxiety. And this nonsense by Minister Simonet that they're going to enforce their policy in a humane and caring fashion. I mean, it is inherently inhuman and degrading to be raiding people arbitrarily, to be arresting them and not take them before a court of law, to detain them illegally and unconstitutionally, and to deport them sometimes years later. So there can never be a humane and caring enforcement of an illegal and unconstitutional policy.
But if the immigration officer knows that in House A, there are some people who are in the Bahamas illegally, yes, that immigration officer
can get a warrant.
Can
get a warrant.
Yes.
See, there's no difference.
But he needs a warrant?
Yes.
And he knows, yes?
There's no difference. You see, if you go to the Immigration Act provides for the powers of an immigration officer, of what they can and can't do. Mm-hmm. And then it says, the immigration officer shall have all the powers, duties, and responsibilities as a police officer. And so an immigration officer is nothing more than a policeman of our immigration laws. And just like policemen require search warrants, just like they have to arrest for probable cause, just like when a policeman arrests you and has to take you before a court of law, you have to get charged, people are entitled to be treated with due process. So I have recommended to the government that what they do is look at reforming the Immigration Act to perhaps create administrative immigration tribunals where you decriminalize immigration law and you create you create the boards that can look at moral, ethical, or rights applications, can consider migrants who are coming here, who've committed no other offense than being here, who have you don't make it a criminal offense, so you could have an immigration judge, so to speak, deal with arrests, detentions, and deportations. It doesn't have to clog up the system. All I complain about is the arbitrary, indiscriminate nature of what they're doing. And if we allow the immigration and the defense force to continue to grow this illegal muscle, they're on illegal steroids, unconstitutional creatures. You're going to have, in years to come, an uncontrollable, armed, aggressive, answerable to no one paramilitary organization, which a minister like Duvalier did with the Totomakuts, or Hitler did with the National Socialist Party, will take over, with the Gestapo and the SS, will take over the Bahamas. And why I'm so alert to this is because I was born and raised in Haiti where this happened. I don't want to see the Bahamas become a little petty Haiti dictatorship. And that's why we have to respect the Constitution. Change it if you want. Change the Criminal Procedure Code. Change the Immigration Act. But go to Parliament, debate it, and do it. In the meantime, follow the law.
I thought you were raised in the Bahamas. When you left Haiti, how old were you?
9 years old. 10
You were
years
9?
old.
Okay.
My father was deported. My mother was put in jail. Our house was torn to pieces. My father lost all his business was there. My father had a stroke when he was put on the plane and was deported. My first cousin, who was Haitian, was shot on his doorstep. He was the chairman of the Human Rights Organization. My family, just like I can't keep my mouth shut, they were very vocal even in Haiti.
Okay.
They talk too much.
Yeah. So you were saying that an immigration officer needs a warrant
Yes.
to go to the house of a so-called illegal immigrant in the Bahamas.
To go to a place where they consider that there are people who are there illegally. If they have cause, they can go to a justice of the peace, get a warrant just like that. But let me give you something else you'll find extraordinary. An immigration officer can't ask me for my papers on the street. The Immigration Act says where an immigration officer wants to determine what your status is, they must serve you with a written summons requiring you to bring your papers before the immigration department within 24 hours in order to have it dealt with. They can't be hunting people like they do. It's against the law. So it's like a policeman. When you're driving, right, and you don't have your license, he might presume that you're here, you're driving without a license, but you have 48 hours within which to go and produce your license. You can't just get arrested for not having a license and put away in a police detention center until someone produces your license. That's why we have the presumption of innocence. But what's happened is because we hate foreigners so much, because we loathe and detest and are so insecure generally as a nation about foreigners, we have created this immigration ogre that's almighty, all-powerful, not answerable to anybody else, that can just do what it wants without regard to the law. That's why I fight it so hard. Because just like the police can't decide, the police aren't supposed to be having these roadblocks and inspections of people's cars in the middle of the night either. Now, if the police hear that there was a drug drop, out at South Beach, and they could cordon off the road because they're going to look through for a suspicious vehicle or whatever, they have to have probable cause. I sued the commissioner of police in 1986 and got a declaration that the police cannot have they cannot conduct these general indiscriminate searches for guns and ammunition. Just like immigration can't go around in the yellow buses raiding people, demanding to see papers. See, it's not an offense. You see, a policeman can't.
You see, the immigration officer sees a man walk.
No.
Hold on, let me ask you a question, please. You see a man walking the street.
Yes.
You believe that the man is here illegally.
You
believe. The immigration officer believes. Let me put the question. You answer. The immigration officer believes that the man is here illegal, that he is an illegal Haitian immigrant. you are saying that the immigration officer has no right to ask him for papers.
Doesn't. Has a right to ask him to come to the immigration office within 24 hours to produce his papers.
But not to come along with me now.
Nope, because just like a policeman, if a policeman comes up to you, all he has the right to do is ask you for your name and address. He can't ask you for anything else. You don't have to answer any question by a police officer.
So when the immigration officers, when they go on the jitneys and they tell the jitneys to stop.
All illegal.
That's illegal.
And I wish there were 7 Fred Smiths so I could issue 7,000 writs against the government for false imprisonment, assault, battery, abusive process. Completely illegal. So now, don't get me wrong. If the immigration have reasonable cause to suspect that an offense is being committed, just like a policeman, they can arrest that person because an offense is in the process of being committed. But you can't just be walking around and decide, well, that guy looks Haitian, or he's not speaking good English, or he's speaking Spanish, or whatever, and simply up and intent. We are not a nation. You see, in the continent and Latin countries, the presumption of guilt applies. So the police and others have inquisitorial powers. We in the Bahamas, like Australia, Canada, India, New Zealand, the United Kingdom and colonies, United States, everywhere, we have the common law system of presumption of innocence. And so if there's ever an allegation that you've done something wrong, first there has to be a law. Secondly, the burden of proof is on the state. And thirdly, you have to be processed with a fair trial.
You are saying that immigration officers and defense force officers
don't have the right.
They have been breaking the law.
Absolutely.
By arresting these people, by detaining these people.
These raids, roundups, jitney stops, roadblocks, completely illegal. In fact, I think I should issue a writ against the government now because I'm not going to travel with my passport and I might get picked up. So I'm going to get a declaration that the government has no right to conduct arbitrary raids, arbitrary, you want to join me? Arbitrary arrests or detentions. I'll do that. For the sake of our freedom, I'll issue a writ against the Prime Minister seeking a declaration that his Christmas Minister Manifesto is void, illegal, and of no effect as being in breach of the constitutional provisions, and that immigration officers don't have the right to stop, question, and search me on the road.
You're saying that the Prime Minister is operating outside the four corners of the
this
law.
This is why my criticism of him was so direct and aggressive, so to speak, because I've caught hell from all my F&M colleagues. How could I need to give him a break, etc.? No, this government has to change. It can't continue to do business like the previous government.
You went beyond that. You said the government is visionless.
It is visionless. To issue an ultimatum in such a complicated situation lacks vision, lacks reason and rational approach, regrettably. I don't take a word of it back.
Fred Smith, thank you very much for being here. always good to talk with you. And when you come back, we have to talk about the spy.
Oh, the spy bill.
Yeah.
That's another reason I said the government was visionless.
Okay, all right. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching and listening to our program. Good evening, everyone.